Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Community Corner right here on Patriot 8. I'm your host, Rick Adams. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to be discussing a topic that's quite controversial, and it's a topic that's received a lot of attention over the last couple of years. After the break, Ferrari will be joining me to talk all about stem cell research. Stay with us. And we're back to Community Corner here on Patriot 8. We do have a very interesting topic to be discussing on tonight's show. It's stem cell research. I know you've heard a lot about it, I've heard a lot about it, and I'm bringing on a gentleman who knows even a lot more about it. It's Dr. Fred Ferrari. Fred.
Hi, Rick.
Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. I know this has made the news a lot lately. And for those of us who don't know too much about stem cell research, what is stem cell research?
Well, stem cell research is an attempt by scientists to demonstrate their theoretical feelings and demonstrate them first in a laboratory on mice and then, of course, in the future on with human trials. Right now, there is some work going on with stem cells. We hear about it with blood problems, with leukemia and such. But the stem cell research that I got familiar with because of my injury has to do with treating, having medical therapies for such things as cancer, diabetes, and neurologic problems such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's.
So different types of diseases.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And you mentioned, obviously you're in a wheelchair here, and something tells me you weren't in a wheelchair maybe a few years back.
Yes.
How did you end up in a wheelchair?
I got injured in 1999. I had a fire in my building on Christmas 1998. And in 1999, in April, I was up on the roof checking out construction and things, and I was pulling things back on the roof from the ladder that I had just come up and moving backwards. And I went down through an opening, a 2-foot by 4-foot opening in the roof for a future skylight. And that wasn't guarded. So I went down just 14 feet. 14 feet.
And I woke up back?
I woke up an hour and a half later in Robert Wood Johnson speaking through a tube and with a spinal cord injury.
Okay, and you're paralyzed below the waist?
From the waist down. From the waist down. And what this did, it got me, I was very active before this. I was very healthy, very active, and I between backpacking in Colorado and walking, hiking, trying to keep healthy, all of a sudden I had the opportunity to go into these rehabilitation centers right here in New Jersey at Kessler and in California. And I saw the problems that face us that we as healthy people haven't had the contact with because we're busy with everyday life.
So is that what got you so involved with stem cell research?
I went through these rehab centers, and then I started to hear about the potential of stem cell research. And I was very enthused because of my problem, my closeness to this problem, and seeing in these rehab centers the ages of these people that typically get hit with spinal cord injury. Typically they are 18 to 30 years old.
So young.
So the young
very,
people.
Very young.
Young, active people. And they get hit with this spinal cord injury. And that's what got me looking around and now hearing about stem cell research. I said, wonderful, this is great. Medical research, it always had me enthused because being an orthodontist for so many years, I was always trying to be in contact with new things and trying new things.
And how important?
And then all of a sudden I heard, excuse me, Rick,
all
of a sudden I heard about the opposition to it. And I said, what in the world? Who would be opposed to this potential?
Yeah, go into that. Why is there so much opposition? And at the top of the show I mentioned it is very controversial.
Yes, it's controversial only because of people needing to learn that it isn't. Whenever I speak to groups, invariably after I speak to them, people come up to me and they say, thank you so much for saying something. I had no idea. I've just been hearing these things, and that's what the problem is. The anti-abortion people and the ultra-conservative right they're misinformed, and that's why I'm so appreciative of this opportunity to explain certain things that they are concerned with. And rightly so, they're concerned with what they think and what they hear, but I will try to explain.
Yeah, and what is
scientific end.
Right. What is the process? Where do these stem cells come from, and who is it going to be helping? I know you mentioned some of the disease victims.
Yes, there are two types of stem cells. There are adult stem cells that are present in our bodies. Scientists have found them in our bone marrow. Scientists have recently found them in the brain tissue, some muscle tissue, bone marrow. So they are adult stem cells. They are specifically related to an adult, a grown individual. The other type of stem cell is called embryonic stem cell.
Right.
And they are more potent. Scientists feel they are more potent than the adult stem cells.
Why are they more potent?
Because they can become any kind of tissue. And the way the scientists want to garner them, the way they want to achieve this, they have, in our country, we have about 400 in vitro fertilization clinics in our country, where couples go that have difficulty having children.
I know that all too well.
Fertility problems, and they go there and they're examined by a physician, and they go into this program of in vitro fertilization, where the mother-to-be produces some eggs, and the father-to-be produces sperm. They put them together in a petri dish, and the sperm fertilize the eggs.
Right.
So you have a number of now embryos on day one. Scientists observe them through a microscope, and they start to split, and cells divide. And in about 3 or 4 days, they're at about the 150 to 170 cell stage, and they get into a form, a little balloon form, called a blastocele. Now that's after 3 or 4 days, and they're being observed. At that point, a number of them are implanted in the mother-to-be, and the remaining embryos are either cryogenically frozen, or, according to the wishes of the parents, they have been, over the years, discarded.
And there are stem cells lying within this.
Well, in that blastocele form, this is what occurs. The outer shell of tissue will eventually be the placenta, the placental tissue. And inside, with the proper instruments, the scientists can observe them through the microscope and extract what are 30 embryonic stem cells inside this blastocele. And those stem cells, when they are extracted and put in a dish themselves, they replicate themselves, and they grow, and they split and divide, and they don't change. They just replicate themselves, and they grow and grow and grow. These cells are what the scientists call pluripotent. They have a lot of potential to become any kind of tissue in the body. So with the right inducement, they can become pancreatic tissue to help diabetics.
Sure.
They can become neuronal tissue to help people with diseases such as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, stroke, post-stroke victims. Large problem in our country, vast. For instance, spinal cord injured people, there are about 9 or 10,000 a year in our country. Stroke victims, 170,000 stroke occur in our country. And post-stroke, to get back function, that's a tremendous thing. The potential is vast.
It seems so logical, what you're saying, how you're explaining it. Fred, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk more